Hello everyone, here we are again, Robin the Sudoku Guy, and this time we're doing tutorial number 82, and it's an extension of what we call elimination heaven. Now after I've finished this tutorial, the next one that you're going to see will include all the tricks that I show you on this tutorial. Now the other day I found out from one of my fans that they had never looked at the description underneath the video where I put lots of valuable information. If you want to see extra information underneath your video, you can look for what is called show more. Click on show more and you will see lots more information that you could use and learn from. For example, in this particular one, I'm going to put the minutes and the seconds for different topics that I cover throughout the tutorial. If there's something that I'm showing you and you already know everything about it, you can skip ahead to something that you'd like to learn more about. Okay, you know, some people have told me that having solved the puzzle, they did not even use one single little number. Well, congratulations. You must have a fantastic memory. The others, including me, don't have that kind of memory. So we put in little numbers, and that's what this session is all about. So, without further ado, look at this. Rules of exclusion. Locked little numbers. When a matching pair, triplet or quadruplet occurs in a row, column or block, any small number of that matching pair, triplet or quadruplet, which occurs in the rest of the row, column or block, can be removed. The little numbers in a matching pair, triplet and quadruplet can be called locked little numbers, and I'll explain what I mean by locked little numbers. Have a look at that row. There is a matching pair in there. Can you see it? Well, here's the matching pair. Now these little numbers are locked. And we say that they're locked because no other little numbers can go there. Now, one of the rules is that you have to, when you find a matching pair, you can get rid of any 7 or 8 in this row. Are there any? Well, yes, there is. We've got one here. We can get rid of this one. Okay, we can get rid of that 7 because it's not part of the matching pair. And what about an 8? Yes, we can get rid of this 8. It's not part of the matching pair. And what are you left with? You're left with a big 4. Okay, now because we're left with a big 4, we have this 4 can be removed here. So we can get rid of that 4. And now we're left with another matching pair, 3, 5, 3, 5. Now I'm going to talk more about this matching pair because it was originally what we call a hidden matching pair. But I'm going to talk about that down the road. Hang tough. Well, here we have a column with a matching pair. Can you spot the matching pair? For those of you who are experienced, you'll probably see it very quickly, but it's a 3, 8, and let me circle them for you. There's your matching pair. No other little numbers can go in there, which means we can get rid of any other 3 or 8 in that column. Well, let's start off up here with this 8. We can get rid of that 8, and so this becomes a big 1. Okay, now let's come down to here. We can get rid of this 3. We can get rid of this 3. We can get rid of this 8. It is the 3, 8, isn't it? We can get rid of this 8. And we can get rid of that 8. And we're left with a 2, 5, 9 triplet, and I'm going to cover triplets a little later. Here we are with a block. We're going to look for a matching pair in a block, and I've made it easy for you. I've actually circled the 3, 6 as a matching pair already to save time. But let me tell you this. It means that any other 3 or 6 in that block can be removed. So there's a 3 here. Get rid of that one. There's a 6 here. We can get rid of that 3 and that 6. Here's another 3 and a 6. 3 here. And a 3 there. And a 6 there, rather. And a 6 here. So that's another way of looking at a matching pair in a block. Don't go away, because now we go on to more complicated examples where you've got a matching pair and a block at the same time. Well, look at that. There's 2 parts to this section. Let's look at this top part first. This is separate. Okay? If we look there carefully, can you see that it's obviously the 4-6 matching pair in the block? Okay? Now, what does that mean? Well, first of all, we can get rid of any 4 or 6 in this row. Let's do that first. Here's a 2-6. We can get rid of the 6 and it becomes a 2. Okay? So let's make it a 2. That 2 means we can get rid of this 2 as well. Okay? Now, what else? That's 4, 6. We can get rid of the 4 here. That makes this an 8. This becomes an 8. Okay, that becomes an 8. And that 8 means that this becomes a 7 because this 8 goes. So we make it a big 7. And that was pretty fantastic. We got all the numbers along there just because we understood what the matching pair can do. It doesn't always work that way though. Okay, now let's look at the block. Yes, we can remove 4s and 6s in the block as well. Let's do the 4s. Here we go. Here we have a 6. Get rid of that one. Here we have a 4. Get rid of that one. 4 and 6. Okay. Any other 4 and 6? Let's look down in here. Is there? Oh yes, there is. We can get rid of this 6, leaving a 5, 7, and we can get rid of this. Well, look, here's a 4, 6. We've got to get rid of the 4, so this becomes a big 2. Let's see the ramifications of all these. That becomes a big 2. If that's a big 2, then we can get rid of this 2 here, and this becomes an 8. And this, if this becomes an 8, we can get rid of this little 8 here, and we're left with, believe it or not, a 5, 7, 5, 7 matching pair. Now that's neat. Doesn't always work that way though, but I want to show you something. Initially, when we first looked at this block, it was a hidden matching pair. Did you see it? Quite often people don't see it, including me. So what I've done here is to show you here in this block, I've done exactly the same block that I had up in here. And this time I'm going to use the 5, 7 matching pair, hidden matching pair, to help us. So let's look at this. If you happen to notice that there's a 5 and a 5 there, in that cell and that cell, there's a 7 and a 7 that cell and that cell, because there's a 5, 7 there and a 5, 7 there, they are a hidden matching pair because there's nowhere else in that block there is a 5 or a 7. So we can get rid of any numbers in those cells that the 5, 7s are in. So we can get rid of that 4. We can get rid of this 8. We can get rid of this 6. And we finish up again with what we've got up there. Now we can do the other system where this 2 becomes, we can get rid of that 4, so it becomes a 2. Okay, and this becomes a 2. And here we have a 2, which we can get rid of. Okay. Now we can get rid of the 6 because that is 4, 6 there. We can get rid of the 6. And we finish up with a big 8. And guess what? We have got exactly the same result as we had up there. So there's more ways to cook an egg than just one. Thank you for looking at this because we're getting into some more interesting stuff now. before I go to the next part, I want to tell you a story. You probably noticed that I'm not using my normal whiteboard. Why? Because all my whiteboard, my easel, my lighting, everything is on a ship coming between Canada and Australia, and I don't know when it's going to arrive. I hope soon. So we've had to sort of go with this system. Thank you for being patient, because it's not the normal system. Now we're going to look at columns in the block. Here we are with a column and a block, and in the block there is a matching pair. Can you find it? It is here. This is a pretty easy one to pick up. It's a 3-6 and a 3-6. Okay, that means, of course, that we can get rid of any other 3 or 6 in that block and in that column. So let's look at this. We've got a 3 up in here. We can get rid of that one. We've got a 3 and a 6 here. We can get rid of those 3 and a 6. Coming down, we've got a 3 and a 6 here, and a 6 there. We've got a 6 there. We got rid of a lot of things there. Boy. Okay, let's correct this 2. And there's 9. Okay, so we got the 3-6 in the column here removed. Now what about in the block? You've probably seen it already, but here is a 3-6 here. We can get rid of that 3-6. And we can get rid of this 6. We're left with a matching 4-9. Again, this can happen. Did you see that before? Because once again, it was a hidden matching 4-9 pair. Okay? So, let's push on to the next step. The triplet, or sometimes called a 3x3. Locked little numbers. 3 cells in a row, column or block, where only one of 3 small numbers can go. Quadruplet is a 4x4. Again, locked little numbers. 4 cells in a row, column or block, where only one of small numbers can go. Any small number which is part of a triplet or a quadruplet, 4x4 that is, located in the rest of the row, column or block, can be eliminated or removed. Well, here we have a triplet. Now, what is a triplet? Remember that it's 3 cells, not like 2 cells in a matching pair. In a triplet, you have 3 cells where only 3 little numbers can go. And if you look at this carefully, you should be able to find a triplet. Here it is. Let me see now. I can see. Here's one. It's made up of 3 little numbers, a 5, a 7, and an 8. Here's the 3rd cell, this one over here. 5, 7, 8, all in one there. That is your triplet. And the rule is the same as it is for a matching pair. So let's look at this now. Let's head, what about 5s? Let's go 5s first. Here's a 5 here. We can get rid of that 5. Here's another 5. Get rid of that 5. Okay, and the other 5s, of course these are 5s that are not part of the triplet, or the 3x3 is another name for them. Now let's go to 7. Let's have a look at the 7s. Is there 7s, any 7s along there that are not part of the triplet, or 3x3? Yes, there is. There's a 7 here. And get rid of the 7. And there's a 7 here. Get rid of that 7. Okay, what about the 8s? No. Well, there's a 7 here. Is that right? There's a 7 there as well. Nearly missed it. What about the 8s? We're looking for 8s that are not part of the triplet. Here is an 8 here, and we can get rid of that one. And what does that do? That makes this a big 9. So let's put the big 9 in. And if that is a big 9, we can get rid of this 9 over here. We can get rid of this 9, and we can get rid of this 9. Okay. Now let's look at the any other numbers of 8. Yes, there's an 8 here. And we can get rid of that 8. It's not part of the triplet. And so what we finish up with is a 1, 3, 6 left over. So that was a triplet, 5, 7 and 8. So good. Let's have a look at another triplet. In this case it is in a column. Well, here we have a column. Can you find a triplet or a 3 by 3 in there? Well, I'm going to get the red pen and mark it out, but let me see if you can find one. Finding them and spotting these takes practice, and you will get into the habit of looking for matching pairs, but you can also get in the habit in more advanced puzzles looking for triplets. And we do have a triplet here. It's a 5, 8 here. It's a 5, 7 here. And it's a 5, 7, 8 here. Did you find those? I hope you did. Now, again, we have 3 cells where only one of 3 numbers can go. We don't know where the 5s are going to go. We don't know where the 7s are going to go. We don't know where the 8s are going to go. But the key is to find that triplet. Now we can get rid of any 5, 7 or 8 in that column that is not part of the triplet. Well, I'm looking at, well, let's take the 5s first. Here's one that's not part of the triplet. We can get rid of that one. And here's one that's not part of the triplet. We can get rid of that one. Okay, now we have 5, 7 and 8. What about the 7s? Here's a 7. We can get rid of this one. It's not part of the triplet, so that can go. Now what about, it's all the 7s, I think, because we can't get rid of the 7s in the triplet. What about 8s now? Do we have any 8? Yes, we do have an 8. We have an 8 down in here. So we can get rid of that 8, and let's look at the ramifications for that. That 3 now will become a big 3. And let's make it a big 3. And let's see the ramifications for that. Okay, that's a big 3. This 3 here can go. So we get rid of that 3, which makes this a big 6. So let's make it a big 6. You see the power of recognizing matching pairs, triplets, and so on. So that's an example of a triplet with a column. Now what about an example of a triplet in a block? Let's have a look at that. Hi, my mirror image identical twin is with me today, and he's been my camera person.
Hi everybody, I'm the other half of my twin brother. David is my name, Robin is his name. We sound the same, we think the same.
And we are the same.
Bye, I'm going back to the camera.
Thanks, mate. Here we have a triplet, 3 cells, where only one of 3 numbers can go, in a block. Can you find them? Well, I'll tell you what, my twin brother David, he saw this and he said, oh, there's a hidden matching pair in there. It's a 1 and 3, here and here, which means we can get rid of this 6, 7 and 9, which is great. Yes, you could do that, nothing wrong with that, it'll work. But let's say you didn't see that hidden matching pair. This is what you do. You look for a 5, 7 and 8, because they are the little numbers in this triplet, in other cells, and get rid of them. So let me see, what can we do here? Here we've got a 7 and 8. We can get rid of those. That's 7 and that 8. And what does that do? That gives us a 9. If that gives us a 9, we can put a big 9 in. Now, if that's a 9, that means we can get rid of this 9. Okay? Now, let's look at there. That was 5s. Any other 5s? Yes, there's a 5 here. Here's a 5. We can get rid of that 5. Oops, I messed it up. Okay, that's a 6. And that's an 8. Okay, we can get rid of that 5. Now what about the 7s? Can we get rid of the 7s? Yes, there's 7s. There's a 7 here. And there's a 7 here. So that leaves us with a 6, 8. Whoa! Now let's look at the 8s. This 8 can go, and we finish up with a big 6. And that 6 means, and this is where my brother David is bang on, that 6 means that this 6 can go, and we have a hidden matching pair now, no longer hidden. Have a look at this. Can you find 4 cells now? 4 cells where only one number can go. Oh, now it's getting more difficult. These are not as common as the matching pairs, but they are there. If you've got a difficult puzzle with a lot of little numbers, this is something you could look for. Okay, getting into the habit of looking for these things and knowing what to look for is very important. So let me see, what have we got here? We have, I'm going to put the numbers down in here. We have 2, 5, 7. Can you see these? I can see them. Have a look at this. Here's 1, a 2, 5. Here's a 2, 7. Here's a 7, 9. I think I've got them all right now. And a 5, 9. Now if you look at those 4 cells, you've got a 2, 5, 7 and a 9. Let me write them down here just to help us go through step by step. We have a 2, 2, 5, 7, 9. Now let's look, so we'll start off with the 2s. Is there a 2 along that row that is not part of the 4x4 or the quadruplet? Yes, there is. Can you see it? It is here. It's this one here. We can get rid of that 2 there. Okay, that's good. We're starting. Now what about the 5s? Is there a 5 along there that is not part of the quadruplet or the 4x4? Yes, there is. Oh, look at this. This is a 5. We can get rid of that 5. And now that 3 becomes a big 3. Let's make it a big 3. Okay. Now what's the ramification of that big 3? Well, over here we have a 3. We can get rid of that 3. Here we go. Rid of that 3. Let it go. Okay, so we've done the 5s. Now what about the 7s? Are there any 7s? Yes, there is a 7. Where did I see a 7? That's not part of the 4x4. Yeah, here's a 7 over here. And we get rid of that 7. Okay. Now, is there any other 7s? No. Now let's look along there to see. We've done a 2, 5 and a 7. Now we do a 9. Is there a 9 that's not part of the 4x4? Yes, there is. It's right here. See this here? That 9 is not part of it, so we get rid of it. And what does that do? It gives us a big 4. Once we've got a big 4, now we can see the ramifications of that. Look at this. That 4 over here goes, and we finish up with a big 8. There's an example of the power of a quad or a 4x4 or quadruplet. It's 4 cells where only one of 4 numbers can go. So that's it for that time, and we're going on to something that I think now is the most exciting part of this tutorial. Don't go away. Locked little numbers. Look for these. 2 or 3 similar little numbers found in a row within a block. Then you can remove similar little numbers in the rest of the row. 2 or 3 similar little numbers found in a column within a block. Therefore, remove similar little numbers in the rest of the column. And 2 or 3 similar little numbers found in a row or column, but only within the block. But if the rest of the row or column does not have those numbers, you can remove other similar little numbers in the block. So let's look at the block first. Before I do this, I want to tell you something. Some time ago, I had a private session using Zoom with a gentleman called Peter. He came from the New England states of America. And I taught him this, and he just found it most helpful. And so do I find it helpful. And next tutorial I'm going to give you, I'm going to demonstrate more of these. So let's see what it's all about. Have a look at this. The first thing we do is we look for a block. We have to look for a block to find 2 little numbers or 3 little numbers that are in a row. In this case, they're in a row. And that's the only place that block can have those 2 little numbers. They're not elsewhere. Let's look at the 5s. Here's the 5, there and there. There are no other 5s in here. None of them. Which means that one of these 5s has to be a 5, because the block will need to have a 5. If that is the case, we can get rid of this 5 and this 5. Now that wasn't a lot, but sometimes it's a lot more. Now let's look at another one. Here we go. Look at this. We have locked little numbers this time using a column, and I'm going to use one proper column and one just brief one here. Have a look at this here. That's the most important thing to look for at the beginning when you're using this. I had my student look at every block in the whole puzzle one by one to look for these, because the more practice you have looking for them, the more you pick them up and spot them. Now, in this particular case, we have, is there a number that's repeated nowhere else in the puzzle? Well, look, here we have a 1, 1, 1. That's no good. And I'll show you why later. We have a 7 and a 7. That is okay. That means that we can get rid of this 7, and this 7. Because there's no other 7s in the rest of the block. One of those 7s has to be a 7. So we can do that. If you had a whole row of numbers down in here, that's what you could do. But let's look at this one. We have 2, 2, 3, 4s. Now, if you look at this puzzle here, this block, 4s are only found in this column. They're not found elsewhere in the block. That means that one of these 4s must be a 4, because the block has to have a 4. If that is the case, you can get rid of this 4, and this 4, and this 4, gee, lots of them, and this 4. Sometimes I've been able to get rid of up to 6 or 8 little numbers. Now, we've got, as a result, we've got a 5, 6 matching pair. Did you notice that? That means that we can turn around right now as a result of noticing this locked numbers, locked 4s. The locked 4s enable us to get rid of this 5 here. And it enables us to get rid of the 5, 6, means that we can get rid of that 6. So that becomes now a 9. Okay. This becomes a 9. Now this 9 can go. So we made some progress on that one. Okay. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. So that's a column where you had locked little numbers in a column within the block. Okay. We also could do it with the 7s. Now let's look at another one. This is called claiming, again using locked little numbers. Here we come to a very unusual one, but a very important one. Again, using the rule of exclusion. If you look carefully at this, you'll see that we have a row right through to there, and in this block we find that there's lots of little numbers, but we can get rid of a lot of them. Let me show you. If you look at this section of the row, there is no 6 or 9 in here possible. The only place a 6 and 9 can be is here or here, here or here. We don't know where, but 6 and 9 have to be there. Otherwise this row will be missing the 6 and the 9. Now this is called claiming by Jason Linhart, who has an app, but it's a unique situation, and I'll show you this also next tutorial. Now, if this is the case, if there's no numbers in here, and the 6 and the 9 have to be in this part of the block, we can do this, and this is fun. Look, here, any 6 up in here can go. And then we'll get rid of the 6s first. All those 6s can go. And there's any other 6s? Yes, there's a 6 down here. We can get rid of that 6 too. Boom, 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 boom. All kinds of things disappearing. Now, the other, we know for a fact that the 9s have to be one of these two. So they are, there's 9 and the 6s are locked little numbers. So with those 9s having to be one of those, we can get rid of this 9, and we can get rid of this 9, and we can get rid of this 9. Well, we got rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 little numbers. Isn't it fantastic? I get so excited when I come across something like this. I hope you do too. Now, there's a couple of things I want to point out to finish off. And this is what you should not do. You ready for that? Have a look at this. These are little numbers that will not work using this system that I've just showed you. Because you have to have a number that's only in one row or one column within the block. Now, you can't have, for example, have a look at this, you can't have two number here and here and here and here. You can't have them vertical or horizontal. You can't have them diagonal. They do not work. Let me show you. Here we have a vertical and there's a cross. Doesn't work. Here we have a vertical and there we have a vertical, but there we have a cross. Doesn't work. It has to be different numbers as well. Here we have diagonal 6s. Here we have a diagonal 4s. Here we have a cross and a down, a horizontal and a vertical. Anything of this nature that I've showed you here cannot work. Now let's, for fun, look at this block here. Look at the 1s. The 1s can't work because we have a vertical and we have a horizontal. Leave it, forget it. 2s. 2s won't work because we have a diagonal, a 2 and a 2 in the block. Won't work. 3s. Now here's something. The 3s are only found in a column within this block. They're nowhere else in this block. They will work. So that means that we can get rid of this 3, this 3, and that 3, and that 3. Okay? I'm in a hurry, so I'll just quickly get rid of those. Okay? And get rid of those. My cameraman has to go. Okay, and get rid of those. That's one fantastic system that this system has. Okay, what about 4s? Well, there's 4s here, vertical, and 4s horizontal. Won't work. What about 5s? There's 5s vertical, 5s horizontal. Won't work. 6s. There are 6s here and here. They are in a diagonal. They won't work. 7s is already there. 8s. 8s are here in a diagonal. Here and here in a diagonal. Won't work. 9s. 9s are in a vertical here and a horizontal this way. So they're the examples that will not work. Folks, thank you for watching this video. I just want to say one thing before I go. If you found this interesting and you learned something, please give me a thumbs up down below. on the next tutorial where I use all this type of things tricks that I've been showing you, and it's included in a diabolical puzzle, and we do it from the beginning to the end. So that's it. Bye.